人間の数が半分になったら燃やされる森の数も半分で済むのだろう。人間の数が先に満ちに垂れ流される毒も
警官の体を捨て母親の体を奪った。
100分の1になるのだろうか。
もう人間ではなくて嘘だって言ってよ。
In a world where humanity faces extinction, one high school student becomes humanity's last line of defense. After losing his mother and almost his own life, Shinichi Izumi's battle with the parasites escalates to a deadly new level. The film opens with a mysterious alien race known as parasites, beginning their invasion of humanity. These creatures infiltrate humans by burrowing into their brains. One parasite successfully takes over the mind of a middle-aged man while he sleeps next to his wife. Another attempts to enter the head of a high school student, Shinichi Izumi, but is blocked by his earphones. Unable to reach his brain, the parasite instead merges with his right hand. Startled, Shinichi panics and tries to remove it, prompting his mother, Nobuko, to rush in. She inspects his hand but finds nothing unusual, dismissing it as his imagination and sending him back to bed. By the next morning, the parasite that infected the man has completely consumed his brain, seized control of his body, and gruesomely beheaded his wife. Shinichi, however, remains fully conscious, possibly because of how the parasite entered his body. The alien in his hand begins exhibiting strange powers, extending his arm to grab distant objects, effortlessly scoring a basketball shot without looking, and even making unwanted advances toward his girlfriend, Satomi Murano. Disturbed by these events, Shinichi grabs a box cutter and threatens his own hand, forcing the alien to reveal itself. It morphs his hand into a terrifying snake-like form, startling him. Yet, unlike other vicious parasites, this one appears far less hostile. It admits it failed to take over Shinichi's brain because of his earphones, and is now permanently fused with his right hand. Migi explains that he will only survive as long as Shinichi lives. With no other option, Shinichi forms a reluctant partnership with the parasite and names him Migi. As time passes, Migi quickly learns Japanese, sword techniques, human anatomy, and even archery, while other parasites continue wreaking havoc. One day, on his way home from school, Migi senses the presence of another parasite and drags Shinichi into a nearby restaurant. Finding the front entrance locked, they sneak in through the back, only to witness a horrifying scene: a parasite devouring a human victim. The creature notices Migi and greets him, until it realizes that Migi hasn't killed his human host. With hunger in its eyes, the alien approaches Shinichi, determined to consume his brain. Migi warns it to back off, knowing that if Shinichi dies, he dies too. The alien, however, suggests a solution. While two parasites can't inhabit one brain, Migi could transfer to its host arm instead. To prove his point, the creature severs its host's hand and invites Migi to switch over. Migi refuses, and a brutal fight breaks out. Drawing on the sword techniques he studied, Migi swiftly decapitates the enemy host, killing the parasite instantly. Shinichi thanks him for saving his life, but Migi coldly explains that he fought only because switching bodies was too risky. He prefers staying in Shinichi's hand. Migi explains that he survives in Shinichi's hand because of the nutrients he absorbs from Shinichi's diet. He promises to protect Shinichi, joking that as long as Shinichi keeps eating delicious fast food, he'll be fine. Meanwhile, Detective Hirama begins investigating the gruesome murders around town. He suspects a cannibalistic killer is on the loose, though the truth is far stranger than that. The next day at school, Shinichi is shocked when the principal introduces a new teacher, Riyoko Tamiya. Migi quickly reveals that she's been taken over by a parasite. Later, Tamiya confronts Shinichi and Migi, assuring them she means no harm and inviting them to meet after school. They gather at an aquarium, where Tamiya introduces them to two more parasites, Shimada Hideo, a fellow high schooler, and Mr. A, a police officer. Unlike most parasites, Tamiya seems unusually calm and rational. She admits she wants to study human behavior to better understand their species. As part of her research, she even had a child with Mr. A and is now pregnant with a fully human baby. Tamiya argues that they should all cooperate, believing that finding a purpose for their existence is more important than mindless killing. She also worries that the media attention around the murders is drawing too much attention to parasites. When Shinichi and Migi refuse to join forces, she warns them not to interfere, reminding them that she could easily harm Satomi or anyone at school. Back home, Shinichi's mother notices how distant he has become and gently tries to get him to open up. Instead, Shinichi snaps, saying he's not a child anymore and doesn't have to share everything with her. The following day, as Shinichi walks home, he and Migi encounter Mr. A. Migi instantly senses his hostile intent and urges Shinichi to run. They try to escape, but Mr. A relentlessly pursues them into a deserted alley. Cornered, Migi prepares to fight. Mr. A declares that he's nothing like Tamiya. He has no interest in peace. He's heard about the parasite Migi killed at the restaurant and sees Migi as a threat that must be eliminated. A brutal battle erupts as Migi and Mr. A clash, blades and tentacles whipping through the air. As Migi battles Mr. A, Shinichi carefully sneaks closer, clutching a metal pipe in his left hand. When he's in range, Migi signals him, and Shinichi drives the pipe straight through Mr. A's body. The creature collapses, and a terrified Shinichi flees the scene, shaken by the fact that he just killed someone. Migi, however, calmly reminds him that Mr. A's host was already dead the moment the parasite took over. Later that day, while returning from the market, Shinichi's mother, Nobuko, spots the dying Mr. A in the alley. She hesitantly calls out to check on him. Back at home, Migi suddenly senses danger approaching. Shinichi panics, grabs a kitchen knife, and prepares for a fight. The door opens, and to his shock, it's his mother. But Migi warns him, this isn't Nobuko anymore. Mr. A has abandoned his old body and taken over hers. Shinichi refuses to believe it, angrily threatening Migi for saying such a thing. But his denial shatters when Mr. A speaks through his mother's voice, confirming the horrifying truth. Tears streaming down his face, Shinichi apologizes to his mother for hiding everything from her and begs her to stop joking with him. But Mr. A shows no mercy. He thrusts a blade through Shinichi's chest, piercing his heart and leaving him on the brink of death. As Shinichi collapses, Migi screams in shock. With no other option, Migi slips into Shinichi's body through the wound in his back. 2 days later, Shinichi awakens in his bed. Migi reveals he used a part of himself to seal Shinichi's wound and even replaced his destroyed heart with his own tissue. Though it was a risky experiment, it worked, and Shinichi is alive. But Shinichi feels no relief. Overcome with grief, he tells Migi he wishes he had been left to die. After breaking down in tears, he gathers himself and goes to school to confront Tamiya, demanding answers about Mr. Tamiya refuses to reveal Mr. A's whereabouts, frustrating Shinichi. In a fit of anger, he hurls a knife at her, but she easily deflects it and walks away. Meanwhile, Detective Harama discovers Shinichi's fingerprints on both the iron pipe used against Mr. A and the restaurant where the earlier fight took place. Still mourning his mother's death, Shinichi aimlessly wanders the city and stumbles upon a political rally. Migi quickly identifies the politician speaking, Takeshi Hirokawa, as a parasite. Migi theorizes that the parasites might be trying to create a safe haven where they can feed on humans without interference. Later, Detective Harama visits Shinichi's home, questioning him about the murdered police officer. Shinichi denies knowing anything, keeping Migi's existence a secret. The next day, Satomi introduces Shinichi to Shimada, one of Tamiya's associates, who has just transferred to their school. She insists they shake hands, unaware of the tension between them. Shimada tries to crush Shinichi's hand, but to his shock, Shinichi matches his strength with ease. Migi speculates that the cells he used to repair Shinichi's heart may still be active, strengthening Shinichi's body and giving him parasite-like abilities. The changes aren't just physical. Shinichi's personality is shifting too. Once shy and gentle, he now shows a calm ruthlessness and is determined to hunt down Mr. Migi warns Shinichi not to rely on him completely, explaining that he must sleep for 4 hours a day. Unlike humans, he can't control when he sleeps or be woken up during that time, leaving Shinichi vulnerable. After an intense investigation, the police officially conclude that the mysterious murders plaguing the city are the work of these parasites. Shinichi and Migi discover that parasites can be identified by a simple test. If a strand of their hair is pulled out, it reacts by curling unnaturally. The next day, the school principal learns about Tamiya's pregnancy and forces her to take maternity leave. While Shinichi and Migi are relieved, Tamiya warns them that Shimada will continue to keep watch over them. She adds that Shimada will blend perfectly into the school environment since, like her, he doesn't eat human flesh. Later, Shimada poses as a model in the art room for Satomi and her friends. While helping him find a pose, one of the girls jokingly pulls a strand of his hair, only to watch in horror as it curls on its own. Realizing he's a parasite, the girls panic and try to flee, but Shimada drags one of them back. Satomi throws a bottle of paint remover into his face, burning and disfiguring him. Now enraged and unstable, Shimada begins slaughtering students in the art room. Migi senses the danger, and he and Shinichi rush to the scene. To Shinichi's horror, they find a trail of his classmates' bodies. Overwhelmed, Shinichi has a panic attack, but Migi calms him down so they can keep going. They arrive just in time to stop Shimada from killing Satomi. Before Shinichi can act, Tamiya arrives, furious at Shimada for causing chaos. She throws a homemade bomb at him, forcing Shinichi to grab Satomi and leap out the window seconds before the explosion. The police soon arrive, but Shimada survives the blast. Shinichi ensures Satomi is sent to the hospital before returning to face Shimada. From another building, Shinichi uses a metal rod to deliver a fatal blow, finally killing the parasite. Afterward, Tamiya reappears, telling Shinichi and Migi she plans to go into hiding until her baby is born. Before leaving, she gives Shinichi the location of Mr. A, still possessing his mother's body. Fueled by anger and grief, Shinichi heads to the address to confront him. Shinichi secretly follows Mr. A to a bridge, preparing to finally face him. But just as the battle is about to begin, Migi warns Shinichi that he's about to fall asleep. Shinichi is stunned by his terrible luck. Offering him a word of encouragement, Migi transforms into a blade before dozing off, leaving Shinichi on his own. Mr. A spots Shinichi and is shocked to see that he's still alive. He attacks viciously, but is surprised again when Shinichi dodges with incredible speed. As Shinichi closes the distance, Mr. A tries to distract him by speaking in his mother's voice, unaware that Shinichi won't be swayed. However, just as Mr. A is about to land a fatal strike, Nobuko's consciousness briefly resurfaces, allowing her to block the attack. Seizing the moment, Shinichi delivers a decisive blow, killing both Mr. A and his mother's possessed body. In the days that follow, Hirokawa wins the mayoral election, promising reform, though his true intentions remain hidden. Detective Hirama is soon approached by a special assault team officer named Yamagishi, who has him sign a confidentiality agreement for a covert mission called the Human Life Protection Project. Elsewhere, Tamiya and Hirokawa meet with a powerful parasite named Goto, who chillingly reveals that he was created with one goal: to wipe out humanity. The story concludes with Shinichi visiting Satomi at the hospital, where a mysterious figure secretly films him talking with Migi, hinting that Shinichi's struggles with the parasites are far from over. Stay tuned for part 2, where the real war begins. After avenging his mother and friends, young Shinichi is now marked as a target by the most powerful parasites in the world. Determined to survive and protect those he loves, he prepares for an even deadlier fight. Today we continue the story with Parasyte, Part 2, 2015. After numerous setbacks in the investigation, Detective Hirama discovers that a psychopath named Uragami possesses a terrifying ability. He can identify individuals who are hosts to parasites. Seeing an opportunity, Hirama uses Uragami's skill to interrogate every major suspect at the police station. One by one, the suspects are cleared when Uragami confirms they're fully human. But when Shinichi enters the room, Uragami instantly senses that he isn't entirely human. Strangely, he chooses not to expose him and tells the police Shinichi is harmless, allowing the boy to leave. On his way home, Migi suddenly detects the presence of a nearby parasite. He guides Shinichi to the source, where they find a parasite feasting on human flesh. With his combat skills sharper than ever, Shinichi charges forward while Migi distracts the enemy, swiftly killing it by piercing its heart with his bare hand. A move so fast fast, it even leaves Migi astonished. After the brief but brutal fight, Shinichi looks over the lifeless victim's body, regretful that he hadn't arrived sooner to save them. Suddenly, he hears a faint sound nearby and scans the area, but finds nothing suspicious, unaware that a mysterious photographer is still tailing him. Meanwhile, at City Hall, Mayor Hirokawa receives word that another one of their kind has been eliminated by Shinichi. Fueled by anger, he contemplates revenge, but Riyoko urges restraint, suggesting they remain patient until the boy stops attacking them. The other parasites, however, disagree and seek Goto's judgment. But with Goto absent, they ultimately follow Ryoko's command, leaving Shinichi alone for now. Elsewhere, a peculiar parasite named Mickey is out for his morning run when he stumbles upon a Yakuza office, setting the stage for even more chaos. Mickey bursts into laughter, catching the attention of one of the mobsters, who demands to know what's so funny. Without a word, Mickey slams the man's skull into the ground with terrifying ease. To complete his brutal training, Mickey calmly steps inside the office and wipes out all 8 mobsters in cold blood. Not far away, at a quiet restaurant, Riyoko meets with the photographer Kuramori. He plans to hand over photos of Shinichi to the police in hopes they'll capture him, which would lead him to other parasites' locations. Realizing this plan would expose her as well, Riyoko convinces him to wait, using the excuse that Shinichi was once her student, and she doesn't want to betray him. Kuramori, still suspicious, heads to Shinichi's school to keep spying. But Shinichi quickly notices his presence and lures him to a secluded spot, confronting him. Taking Kuramori home, Shinichi learns that Riyoko is the one who revealed his identity as a parasite host. In return, Shinichi exposes shocking information. Their city has become a parasite stronghold, and Riyoko isn't just one of their leaders. She's the most intelligent of them all. Finally, Shinichi warns Kuramori to erase everything he knows and live a normal life before the parasites inevitably come for him. Instead of heeding the warning, Kuramori heads straight to City Hall, secretly recording an interview with Mayor Hirokawa and planting a hidden device to spy on him. But his plan falls apart when one of the parasites finds the recorder. With this discovery, Hirokawa ignores Ryoko's previous orders and gives the green light to eliminate both Kuramori and Shinichi, along with Migi. Later at school, Shinichi finishes his classes and begins walking home with Satomi. While they're talking, Migi suddenly detects multiple enemies tailing them, 5 in total. Desperate to protect Satomi, Shinichi distances himself and flees. But after a tense chase, he finally comes face to face with Mickey. However, Mickey isn't just one parasite, he's 5 in 1. Each of his limbs is controlled by a separate parasite, making him a horrifyingly deadly opponent unlike anything Shinichi has faced before. As Shinichi and Migi flee from the monstrous opponent, Migi quickly notices something unusual. Their enemy's attacks are uncoordinated. Seizing this weakness, Migi climbs up a nearby tree, ambushing from above, and with a single devastating strike, he tears Mickey's head clean off. With their enemy seemingly defeated, Shinichi and Migi prepare to pierce his heart and finish him for good. But just as they're about to strike, a group of humans approaches. To avoid being seen, they retreat, a decision that will soon come back to haunt them. Without its head, the parasite in the creature's right arm suddenly takes control, revealing itself to be Goto, the most dangerous parasite of them all. Goto's terrifying ability allows each parasite within him to take full control of the body, altering his voice and even his personality at will. Now back in control, Goto summons Mickey's severed head, which crawls back with its demonic limbs and reattaches itself to the body, restoring him to his full, horrifying form. Meanwhile, Kuramori, now consumed by fear, returns home to his daughter. Trying to stay cautious, he goes out to the market to kill time, but as he returns, dread washes over him. Strange vehicles surround his building. Racing upstairs, he discovers his worst nightmare. His daughter has been murdered by the parasites. Detective Hirama interrogates Kuramori, suspecting him of involvement with the creatures. But the grieving photographer, broken and filled with rage, escapes police custody, determined to take vengeance with his own hands. When Riyoko learns of the child's murder, she storms into the prefecture, furious at Hirokawa for disobeying her orders. Not only did he fail to eliminate Shinichi and Migi, but his recklessness also claimed the life of an innocent child. Later, Riyoko returns home and cradles her own baby, her maternal instincts deepening. But as she steps outside, she realizes she's being hunted. Luring her pursuers to a parking lot, she finds herself confronted by 3 3 parasites who reveal they've been sent by Hirakawa to kill her. Smiling coldly, Riyoko warns them that 3 parasites would never be enough to defeat her. In a chilling display, she reveals a section of her face missing. Suddenly, razor-sharp parasite tendrils burst from her body, piercing all 3 enemies' hearts at once, killing them instantly. The grotesque parasite pieces then reattach to Ryoko's face, restoring it completely, leaving behind a haunting image of her unmatched power. After eliminating the trio of attackers, Riyoko rushes back to her baby's room, only to find an empty crib and a chilling note left behind by Kuramori. He has taken her child. At the police station, Detective Hirama calls Kuramori, trying to convince him to share his location so they can help him in his quest for revenge. But Kuramori, blinded by grief and rage, refuses any assistance, determined to handle this himself. After ending the call, he sends his location to Riyoko, who decides to confront him. Yet before heading out, she contacts Shinichi for backup. Meanwhile, the Japanese task force uncovers the parasite's stronghold within the prefecture building and launches a full-scale operation. On arrival, the officers claim there's a sniper threat and begin evacuating civilians. But it's all a ruse. Every person is funneled through a scanning system capable of distinguishing humans from parasites. When a parasite is identified, the police isolate them between buses and execute them one by one. Panic spreads as the parasites realize escape is impossible. Some try to avoid the scanners, but the police tighten their grip, now aided by Uragami, who serves as a human detector, exposing parasites hidden among the crowd. One by one, the parasites are wiped out until the team captures Hirakawa himself. The mayor tries to reason with them, arguing that parasites are necessary to maintain balance and population control. But his words fall on deaf ears. The officers gun him down mercilessly. To their horror, Hirakawa wasn't a parasite at all. He was human. Before the shock can settle, Goto storms into the room. Uragami confirms he's not human, and the officers open fire. Goto effortlessly raises his left arm, morphing it into a shield, blocking every bullet as if they were mere pebbles. Realizing this monster's power is beyond comprehension, Uragami quietly slips away, an act that will save his life. Seconds later, Goto slaughters the heavily armed task force with terrifying ease, leaving no survivors. Elsewhere, Riyoko arrives at the meeting point, trying to explain that she never ordered Kuramori's daughter's death. But Kuramori, consumed by vengeance, doesn't listen. As he moves closer, Shinichi finally arrives, pleading with Kuramori to let go of his hatred, but the grieving father won't be swayed. As Riyoko cautiously approaches, Detective Hirama's team tracks Kuramori's location and storms the scene. Desperate, Kuramori tries to throw Ryoko's baby from a high ledge, forcing Riyoko to unleash her parasite powers. In an instant, her tentacles pierce his heart, killing him before he can harm the child. With her son finally safe in her arms, Riyoko makes no effort to hide her true nature as a parasite. Shocked and wary, Hirama and his officers draw their weapons, warning her not to move. Riyoko ignores them and walks calmly towards Shinichi. Hirama fires a bullet straight through her forehead, but Riyoko spits the round out as if it were nothing, the wound healing instantly, her regeneration surpassing even Wolverine's. The officers unleash a hail of bullets, but Riyoko doesn't retaliate. Instead, she shields her baby with her flowing hair, advancing slowly, step by step, as bullets tear through her body. Her only focus, protecting her child and reaching Shinichi. Witnessing the heartbreaking scene, Shinichi screams for the police to stop shooting, desperately shouting that the baby in Ryoko's arms is human. Detective Hirama, stunned by the revelation, orders his men to cease fire immediately. Covered in blood and barely able to stand, Riyoko looks at Shinichi with calm resolve. She whispers a final goodbye, confessing that she has learned so much from humans. Her voice trembles as she admits that she had once dreamed of living a quiet life as a mother with her child, but knowing that dream is impossible, she gently hands baby Takeshi to Shinichi, entrusting him with the boy's future. She tells Shinichi to raise him as a happy and healthy human child, then smiles faintly, declaring that her greatest experiment, the experiment of being a mother, has finally reached its conclusion. With her purpose fulfilled, Riyoko collapses lifelessly to the ground, her body decaying rapidly before their eyes. Shinichi falls to his knees, tears streaming down his face as memories of his own mother flash before him. She, too, gave her life to protect her child. child. Satomi finally arrives at the scene, rushing to Shinichi's side. The two embrace tightly, Takeshi cradled safely between them, sharing a rare moment of warmth amidst the chaos. Once everyone regains their composure, a policewoman carefully takes Takeshi into protective custody, while Detective Hirama approaches Shinichi, asking him to come and testify about everything he's seen. But before they can leave, an officer receives a chilling report. The entire special task force sent to the town hall has been completely wiped out by Goto. Horrified, Hirama rushes with Shinichi to the scene. There, they're met by a nightmare. Goto, now stronger and deadlier than ever, steps out of the shadows and casually tosses a severed human head at their feet, a taunting display of his power. Migi immediately recognizes him as the multi-parasite they had encountered before, but now his presence feels overwhelmingly dangerous. Terrified, Migi warns Shinichi to run. Shinichi bolts through the carnage, racing into the parking lot, where Migi hotwires a car. Just as they speed away, Goto leaps effortlessly from the top of the building, landing with terrifying precision. Hirama draws his weapon and fires relentlessly, but Goto deflects every bullet as if they were nothing. In a horrifying instant, he redirects the bullets back toward Hirama, striking him down. The brave detective falls lifelessly, becoming yet another victim of the monster's overwhelming power. Seeing Goto's overwhelming strength, the police give up on trying to stop him and instead clear the way for him to go after Shinichi. Goto heads to a parking lot, steals a sports bike, and begins chasing his target's car. Migi senses Goto closing in, until he realizes the distance between them has reached zero. At that moment, Goto and his bike crash down onto the roof of the car. With Migi driving and Shinichi struggling to stay alive, the chaos causes them to lose control and the car crashes. It would have been fatal if not for Migi quickly pulling them back onto the road. From above, Shinichi watches the burning wreckage, thinking Goto is dead, but Migi calmly warns him that their enemy is still alive and far from defeated. As predicted, Goto emerges from the flames, regenerating his injuries. Shinichi flees into a nearby forest, crafting a makeshift wooden spear to defend himself. Meanwhile, Migi devises a plan and detaches from Shinichi's body. When Goto approaches the trap's location, Migi attempts a surprise attack from behind, but Goto easily deflects it. This distraction gives Shinichi a chance to strike with his spear, but even caught off guard, Goto blocks the blow. Taking advantage of Goto's brief distraction, Migi launches another attack, nearly incapacitating him but failing to inflict a deep enough wound. Goto's other 4 parasites intercept every strike, buying him enough time to fully recover and reattach his head. Realizing their plan has failed, Migi orders Shinichi to escape, but Shinichi refuses to abandon him and watches in horror as Migi is brutally torn apart, his limbs ripped off one by one. With his main opponent incapacitated, Goto turns his attention to Shinichi. In one final act of defiance, Migi uses his remaining strength to create an opening, allowing Shinichi to run. Goto quickly finishes Migi, leaving Shinichi devastated. Now completely alone and desperate, Shinichi sprints through the pouring rain and eventually reaches the abandoned grounds of a nuclear power plant. Eventually, Shinichi finds shelter. Exhausted, he collapses, hyperventilating until a call from Satomi reaches him. She tracks him down and finds him unconscious, tending to his wounds and bandaging him while he's out cold. By morning, the young couple wakes up, and Shinichi notices an eye forming in the remnants of his severed arm. Proof that Migi's cells are still inside him. But this discovery isn't entirely good news. Parasites can sense each other's presence, meaning Goto now knows his exact location. At the power plant's access gate, an employee attempts to stop Goto, but before he can speak, the parasite swiftly decapitates him. Realizing it's only a matter of time before Goto reaches him, Shinichi bids Satomi farewell and resolves to face his enemy once and for all. He reveals his location, luring Goto to the nuclear waste sector. In an attempt to escape, Shinichi grabs onto a massive mechanical claw, rising high above the ground. However, Goto transforms his legs into impala-like limbs, leaping to incredible heights and landing directly on the claw. Despite Shinichi's weakened state and missing arm, Goto relentlessly attacks him, accidentally severing the claw's cables in the process. On the ground, Shinichi spots a piece of rebar among the debris. In a desperate move, he dodges Goto's strikes, grabs the rebar, and slides with lightning speed, blade, reminiscent of Neo from the Matrix, before plunging it into Goto's chest. But despite his efforts, Shinichi misses Goto's heart, causing no serious damage. Goto counters with a brutal strike, but as his tentacle touches Shinichi's severed limb, something unexpected happens. They begin to merge. Part of Goto's parasite cells detach, while another part takes the form of Migi in Shinichi's arm once again. Finally reuniting with Shinichi, Migi reveals that he had implanted a portion of himself inside Goto all along, slowly disrupting Goto's nervous system. He also explains that the rebar Shinichi used was contaminated with radioactive waste, causing Goto's body to spiral out of control. Goto's body begins to melt, morphing into a grotesque, unrecognizable creature before finally exploding. Yet even in this state, Goto's incredible resilience shows. His heart continues to beat, and his head parasite desperately tries to summon the remaining cells to reconstruct his body. Determined to end the nightmare once and for all, Shinichi walks over calmly and pushes Goto's remains into the roaring flames of the garbage incinerator, sealing his victory over the most powerful parasite he has ever faced. Sometime after the climactic battle, Migi explains that the nuclear waste has severely damaged his molecular structure, forcing him into a deep, long-term sleep to restore himself, a process that could take years, even decades. Before disappearing, Migi reassures Shinichi that his right hand will return to normal and bids him a heartfelt farewell, leaving Shinichi unsure if he will ever hear his friend's voice again. A year later, Shinichi and Satomi visit little Taki, who is now growing up fast. After their visit, the couple goes for a peaceful walk, and Satomi asks Shinichi to grab some ice cream from a nearby store. However, Uragami, who has been stalking them, seizes this moment to kidnap Satomi and take her hostage. When Shinichi realizes Satomi is missing, he frantically searches for her and spots Uragami leading her away. The deranged man takes Satomi to the rooftop of a building, brutally slitting a bystander's throat to assert his dominance. As Shinichi arrives, Uragami reveals his twisted obsession. Ever since their encounter at the police station with Detective Hirama, he has been desperate to know what a real monster thinks of him. Despite Uragami's psychopathic behavior, Shinichi calmly tells him that he's not a monster at all, just a human being, and tries to reason with him. But Satomi steps in, calling Uragami an imbecile and saying she actually pities a monster like him. Enraged by being called a monster, Uragami completely loses control and shoves Satomi off the rooftop. In a desperate attempt to save her, Shinichi charges forward, knocks Uragami unconscious with a single punch, and reaches for Satomi's hand, only to watch in horror as she slips from his grasp, plummeting toward the ground below. Overcome with guilt and grief, Shinichi reflects on everything he's lost. A quick montage of memories flashes before his eyes, but suddenly, a familiar voice cuts through his despair. Migi. Awakening for just a split second, Migi instructs Shinichi on how to grab Satomi in time. Following Migi's guidance, Shinichi manages to pull her to safety. With Satomi safe in his arms, Migi falls back into his deep sleep. Later, the couple lies together on the rooftop, catching their breath. Shinichi confesses that after throwing a stray dog's body into the trash years ago, he was so racked with guilt that he dug it back up and buried it beneath a tree. That moment of empathy marked the start of his transformation, a small reminder of what makes him human, even after everything. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more epic movie breakdowns. See you in the next video.